Thank you to all our co-panelists. It's wonderful connecting to all of you all. We have a kind of diverse set of panelists from manufacturing, insurance, automotive, and hospitality. So since we have a time constraint, we will kind of have a very fluid conversation, which can kind of give us an industry, best practices as to what's happening in each of our industry in terms of the transformation. The word transformation means experience altogether. And the previous panelists spoke about, a human touch point, though it is digital. So it would be good to kind of start off with Sundar to kind of give us how is your industry been coping up with this whole transformation in the current situation, and what are the kind of experiential tools and techniques that have been used to kind of cater to the transformed consumers or digitally connected consumers. So we can start off with Sundar, and then each one of us can give a bit of our industry insights.
Sure, Rekha. Hello, everyone. First of all, thanks for having me on this platform. We have a wonderful panel group, as well as a good set of audience, and thanks to Exito Group for having me here. It's a wonderful question, and it's a wonderful session to follow up the cybersecurity session as well. What I'll do is I'll start with my perspective more from an automotive industry, but there are key parallels that can be drawn for other customer-focused businesses or verticals as well. If you look at a traditional automotive OEM, the OEMs were known for designing great cars, the vehicle engineering, manufacturing the cars, and of course, we were known for being great marketers of cars as well. But once that car is sold, if you look at the customer journey, the customer experience and the journey is largely managed by our sales and service dealerships and sales and service network that we have in our each market. So from an OEM perspective, we always had a second-hand view on the experiences that we extended to our customers. But fast forward today, if you look at a couple of aspects, one is, as Anisha said, if you look at the customer tech sector, whether it's the experience delivered by an Uber or an Amazon or an Airbnb, the kind of experience that is being delivered or extended, they have raised the bar very high. And that's one aspect. The second aspect, specifically from an automotive buyer perspective, if you look at various industry sources, in the next few years, 45% of our car buying cohort will be millennials. And it is very paramount for OEMs, automotive OEMs, to understand the car purchasing demographic and kind of adapt to their preferences and the choice of experience that they would want to experience when interacting with the brands. And for us, it's a challenge not only to deliver great experience, but also to how to humanize this customer experience. What I'll try to do is I'll give you a use case and talk about how we are trying to solve it within the automotive space. If you look at the car buying process, if you look at if a customer wants to buy a car today, what he or she does is they step into a dealership. There's a sales rep who is really focused in understanding what the customer wants, their driving patterns, their driving needs. Is it a family? Is it a single car owner? And they kind of tune and are able to make a recommendation to the customer on what car product or the product that would be right for them. And at the same time, also extend it further up and say, this is the configuration of the car that would be the right fit for it. Now, bring the same experience to the digital channel. If you look at if a same broad brush is applied and if a same content and experience is extended to our customers, I don't think we will be successful. So again, there's a couple of pivots that we look at. If it's an existing customer about whom we have real rich data about how they use the car, their experiences, or their data points across the various touch points within the customer journey, we are able to provide a very personalized experience for them and convert this search process of searching for a car into a discovery of a car which is right for them. And even if it's a new customer with concepts like progressive profiling, we are able to understand what the customer is looking for and typically drive the journey or customize the journey accordingly so that it's very personalized, very intuitive for customers, and it's not a broad brush approach that we are using. So for us, again, this is just a gist of what we're trying to do. But again, for us, the key to humanizing the customer experience is maintaining the authenticity of the brand and creating a true people-focused focused core in all the interactions that we do, plus making sure we have the right data and we are using the right data to optimize the experience.
Brilliant. I think you brought out some interesting points on the concept of discovery of the car and humanizing. And I think you're looking at the journey of entire customer life cycle to create this brilliant Sundar. We'll move on to Atin. Atin, it would be good to hear from your sector as to what is the new kind of, the changed approach that you have taken to create that CX in this current times that we are in, and also how your employees have been coping up with these, because that's the biggest challenge everybody is facing.
I know, rightly said, Rekha, and thank you so much for the question. I think in a B2B setup where high value purchase, long sales cycle, meetings are a norm, this new way of working is definitely, if I could say, a change in the way we look at business practices. Is it for the good way or the bad way? Well, one has to be as positive as one can and say that, yes, it's for the good way. I think the good way is also happening because there is some optimization which is happening from a point of view of how many times are we reaching out the customer. Let's go back before this time, right? There used to be n number of touch points, the sales guy calling, emailers flying, customer support. Let's go on the other side where we are not selling and we are customers. We hate it. So does our customers. There has been a consolidation for that. I think the consolidation has been because of humanizing this DX or digital experience or CX or call it DCX, what I represent. And it's in two ways. More and more B2B companies are realizing what seamless experiences are. Okay, there used to be a time when you used to purchase something, you go here, you want an ERP system, you go here, you want a CRM system, you go here. How do you put it all together to give you that one view for the customer? I think that has become very paramount because now the competition is not a B2B brand for me. The competition is Amazon and Uber, which is seamless as possible. Okay, so it's for me, automobile companies as much as a competition as a B2C company. So that's become extremely important. Secondly, in B2B companies where you have a lot of personas, right? Because you have a lot of stakeholders you work with, personalization as per persona is becoming very, very important, okay? It's as simple as a customer is asking, why are you showing me this product when I don't even need it? And that's become a norm, okay? CDOs and CMOs have been trying to do digital transformation for the last 5 years, okay? COVID has done it in 9 months. It's taken needle from here to here. So customer evolution of expectation has also gone from year to year, but we are not catching up very fast. That's why personalization becomes very, very important. The third important part is that the customers are now saying, guys, talk to me when I need it, which means it is no longer about real time, okay? You come to my website and I send you a nice Marketo email or no, it's not real time, it's the right time. So thus data insight, the understanding of the customer life cycle becomes so important. And it is not only the job of your customer support team, your call center team, but it starts right from the brand and the digital marketing to the digital selling and then the support. How do you start connecting all of it to get that one journey so that the customer can come inside, can see your products, can ask questions, can get the right support, can do the purchase, and then you can talk about cross-sell and upsell while looking at the sales time and saying that, hey, is this digital experience actually increasing my sales time or actually decreasing? I think that's my perspective of humanizing DX. We are getting there. Thanks very much, COVID, but still a long way to go.
Brilliant. I think you touched upon a very sensitive issue of everybody, moving digital, and the word digital transformation is kind of taking so much stress on organizations that everybody wants to have an AI and an ML. But the fact of the matter remains that how are you going to put it to use? Like you rightly said, the real-time information, the customers are actually looking for the right information at the right time. They don't need beyond that, and that's what I think kind of allowed us to take a pause and reflect on what exactly a customer is requiring in this COVID times. And it's interesting, since I come from the hospitality and the airport background, it is kind of a amalgamation of multiple employer and multiple employee, and it's a travel, it's a necessity, and the stress. Interestingly, like you said, the persona. Now you have different kind of personas traveling, and all of their needs are very, very, very different. Now, how do I bring in that human element and yet use the digital to understand their behavior, to create a sentiment around what they need? So it's become very important for organization to actually know your customer at the right time and what to give them at the right time, rather than bombarding with emails because you and me are also customers. Or we just duck all the emails that comes in, So I think very, very important. Moving on to Hari, interesting from an insurance perspective, how has COVID taken shape? I'm sure a lot of medical insurances are going, very high. So what is your perspective on the CX from your industry?
Hi, Rekha. Hi to fellow panelists. Hi, Sundar. Hi, Atin. And thanks, Exito, for this opportunity. Is my voice audible? I hope it's coming across clear.
Okay. Yes.
Great. So yeah, those were uncertain times surely in March, when we all just picked up our PCs and laptops and all moved to our homes, and we were trying to set up new processes. And particularly I at Future Generali am responsible for maintaining the service continuity as well as the customer experience across all touch points. So the first thing which was very important is that those who were so used to call us at our call center continue to receive the experience. So one thing which worked in our favor is we started planning early by virtue of being a group company across 60 countries, and seeing how the COVID was spreading its tentacles in other countries gave us an advantage that we started planning almost a month in advance. And the day when the lockdown started on, I think, 23rd or 24th March, people were operational from home to even cater to all calls. So that was a unique thing, that on the first day also, we did not have anything playing on the helpline saying that we will be back soon, or due to this scenario, we cannot serve you on the human aspect of that. That was one thing. Coming to, in general, customer experience and humanizing customer experience, I feel what we need to do is we need to look at it on a long term, and that is what we at Future Generali as part of the group have been doing. We call it as a lifetime partner, because insurance is something which you don't just take at one time. I mean, if you consider the gamut of all the products, then there's so much you can do with insurance. So it's not about just getting your leg out of the door, leg inside the door, but actually to stay there and to be there for the whole lifetime. And around that, we have built some attributes which we are constantly working upon as pillars, as a long-term journey to humanize the customer experience. Some of these things may sound very simple. The first one is what we call as human and caring experience standards. So whatever be the touch point, be it an actual human or be it a digital, we went and defined each of the KPIs, and around that, the attributes that the person or the non-person, that is your digital person or the robot should be exhibiting, so that the customer really feels that he is being cared for. So that's one very important attribute, and we actually track it as a KPI called empathy and care KPI, because we track it on the dashboard, which everyone from the CEO to me to those at the front line also see that for their touch point, how is the empathy and care trending in the feedback. Secondly, insurance involves a lot of written word, and that is the brochures and the documents and so. Those also can be humanized to a great degree. So typical contracts are like jargons and a lot of verbose documents, but that can be said in very simple terms. So what we are doing is we are following a practice of calling a simplification of language program, which in European parlance is called as B1 on a scale of A1, A2, B1, so on to D2, so that which a commoner high school student should be able to understand. We are on that journey. We are not yet there fully, but we are aspiring to be able to simplify all documents in the period of next 1.5 to 2 years. And then also to differentiate our value proposition, that is the products that we offer we co-create with the customers? How do we gather their insights and build that to differentiate our value proposition? Because insurance is no doubt very much a commodity in the general insurance space. But then how do we differentiate over there in the experience that we offer? And very important thing is like to be paperless in insurance at this times of COVID. And that is another hallmark that we are focusing on. So to enable all our partners to be able to do the business at their end and not needing an office or having the least of interaction with office, so that those physical spaces can become redundant. Them coming with a physical proposal to do the insurance doesn't remain as the norm anymore. So there are various platforms, depending whether that's a mobile platform or a desktop platform, depending on the kind of products that they have, so that can be, and the adoption is the focus, so that we can over a period of next year or so go almost like 90 to 100% paperless, and customers also experience that. In fact, the regulator has also now made those as very valid documents without requiring the print copy. So those are some things which are helping us humanize our experience and digital experience also.
Oh, brilliant. I think one thing which came out, I personally kind of appreciate is that, the metrics that you are kind of measuring empathy and care right from the top management to your frontline employee. I think that's brilliant, because very, very critical, especially when we are in customer experience. It's considered as a function and not as a culture. Typically that's what happens. It's a functional job of creating that experience, and I think that is really, really nice. And to also know that you are becoming more sustainable and kind of going paperless, which is again brilliant approach from the industry. Overall, what is coming across from all the industries is that we are kind of building compassion into the experience at every touch point, so it has become a compassionate customer experiences, irrespective of it is human or irrespective of digital. From there, I thought we will touch upon a very, very double-edged sword, which is our social digital platforms, which is social listening. We have all kind of platforms where your customers are digitally connected always and are also conscious. How are you kind of using the social listening to kind of adapt to your business and reinvent the CX strategy? So it would be good to hear some aspects of your social listening and the implementations that you do at your end. Sundar, maybe you could just take on.
Sure, Rekha. Again, as I said earlier, our customer cohort is ever evolving, and as I said, the 45% of our customers are going to be millennials, and we know where millennials spend most of their time and have most of their conversations. So for us as an OEM, automotive OEM, social listening gives us an insider's perspective of what our customers want. And at times what we have realized is this unprompted conversations have a lot of insights to offer for us to better deliver an experience or better address a concern that a customer has. From an automotive OEM perspective, there are multiple facets that we look at. Primarily, I think we have set up command centers to help customer diagnose their problems or quickly handle any customer complaint that a customer might have, and redirect it to the right advisory group that would help them. At times we have used insights, drawn insights to better understand the dealerships where customers get a very good experience, or a dealership where customers voice their concern about the experience that they faced at a dealership. Again, this gives us understanding on what's working at a dealership or a particular ex-dealership that we can replicate it in other groups, or what's not working and see how we can avoid it in future. It's an important forum for us to identify potential auto buyers. There are, and at the same lead, I'll say it is also an important forum for us to understand what customers want from our products, or what do they like about our products. In India, for example, if you look at I'll just quote Team BHP is a wonderful forum where customers, auto enthusiasts share their experiences There could be an amateur who is looking for a car and they have put down their needs. It's a good source of opportunity for us, a rich tons of knowledge for us in terms of insights into what customers want from a product, as well as potential leads for us for a particular line of product line. In a similar way, as I said, it also helps us monitor campaigns in terms of if we had a product launch or a feature launch or enhancements that we did in a certain product line, we get a first-hand feel about how is it being received by the larger online cohort. And similarly, it also helps us benchmark against our competitors. Which other brands in my category are creating a positive buzz, for example. So social listening is a key platform for us to understand customer behavior and be able to react and adapt to it. If from an audience perspective, if you're a company which is yet to delve into the space, I think 4 key points that I would want you to keep as a takeaway is first you have to decide what you want to monitor. What's the purpose? Do I want to monitor a product line or a service line? You need to set up a social listening system per se. You need to have a system for responding and engaging with the customers across multiple channels, whether it's an Instagram, whether it's a Facebook chat, or any of the leading platforms. As well as the last but essential point is around having a right system of learning. We know what we are monitoring, we know what data we are getting, but there should be a feedback mechanism so that we are able to harness that data and convert it into an actionable insight. So yeah, with that, I think be it an automotive space or any other customer-focused business in today's world, social listening platform is very key in driving better and delivering better experience for our customers.
Brilliant, Sundar. I think you kind of touched upon the 4 aspects, which is critical for all of us in the industry, and any industry that any size or scale, very, very critical. How do you harness that data that is, available on a platform? How your employees are developed to understand, be intuitive enough to come out with the suggestions, and also give back to the your production unit or maybe your manufacturing. These are the insights, and this is what is. So how I think social listening is kind of bringing about customizing what as an organization can kind of put out there. I'm quite curious to know from Atin, how are you using this platform in your industry? While you spoke about B2B kind of a concept, I was more curious to know, do you all started having this concept of social listening, or it's an aspiration in your business sector?
I don't think social listening anymore is aspiration. If I said it's an aspiration, I shouldn't be here, first of all. But having said that, I think Sundar covered it completely. I think irrespective of B2B or B2C, these are the various aspects where you can look at social listening from a brand point of view, from a strategy point of view, from a support point of view. I think one thing which is happening, and I think it's a very new concept in B2B, is how do we transition from social listening to social selling? I think that is something which now is becoming something which everybody wants to crack. Okay. Now I know social selling in its native form has a lot of things which you do with LinkedIn, etc. But I'm looking at social selling as a tool in which you don't look at social listening from a brand point of view. You don't look at social listening only from a strategy or competition research. You don't look at social listening from a support point of view, but you look at social listening from a salesperson's point of view, and thus evolving to social selling. I don't have the answer as to how to go about it, but think of a scenario where at least you can reach a point where you can look at all this listening and then tangibly start looking at it a very, very tactical marketing. And there are some good use cases. There are some great companies who are working on this. We've experimented it, that rather than looking at a lifetime, long life cycle or sales cycle, can we start using social listening to capture point of sale tactically and then close it, while keeping in mind your competition, while looking at all your competition dissatisfaction, while keeping the brand metrics also in place. I think that is something which is very, very interesting from a B2B point of view. It's already happening in B2C. And then how do we use social selling from a tactical marketing point of view? everything in marketing cannot be strategic, especially in these times where every 15 days, every 2 weeks, things are changing. So we need to look at this tactical marketing more closely, and not look at it only from a point of view as my team will look into it. I think more and more CX also need to start looking at tactical marketing, and that's where social listening transforming to social selling becomes extremely important. As a matter of Rekha, it'll be interesting to understand from your point of view, considering the zero moment of truth happens at an airport where a person can just take out his phone and say, I don't like this service. How do you guys look into it? And especially now during COVID times.
I must give you a use case, since you were talking about how the CX has to look into the selling concept of it. Just to give you a recent incident when through the social listening, it was coming out that there is a huge amount of stress factor in traveling at this time, right? The kind of regulations that the government has been put in coming into the country, going interstate, the COVID test. So it was interesting to know. So from the social listening, the topmost contributor was that people would prefer to come and have a test in India. Now, there's an opportunity for us as an airport to create that facility, rather than having that, the person taking from overseas, which is going to cost him. And that's a live case which just happened. And it is, of course, a revenue model. Now, you as a CX professional, you're going to give that insight to your commercial team, saying that, hey, listen, this is what I need as a customer experience. When he lands here, he needs to get this damn testing done here in the airport and then exit the airport. Two things. One, you kind of heard the customer, given him what he wants. There is a value for money that he is looked at, because he don't need to spend 10,000 dirhams in Dubai to do the testing. Rather, come here. Now, this cannot happen overnight, because since it's a very regulated environment at an airport, the huge learning that we have got is that without collaboration, a CX cannot work. Now, for us, it was to collaborate with the ministry, collaborate with the aviation, ministry level health department, and of course the local regulators, and then put up this. So, but once you kind of see the value and show that what is it going to yield, and I'm sure everybody's on that page today. Everybody wants to see a happy customer. So that's one of the social listening ability we picked up, and we realized that it's making a huge impact, incremental. But yes, I think, as you said, it's no more aspirational. It is the need of the hour. And as we go, I mean, our Indian population, the age group is going to be 29 years is the average age, and we're going to have a different set of audience. Now it becomes even more critical for us to how you're going to harness that information and convert it into a tactical business, So that's something from the hospitality and the airport sector. It would be good to hear from the insurance also, Hari.
Hi, that was very insightful, what all the three of you shared. So my share remains to tell the tail end of whatever is left over, maybe. I think there are a few components of that, and be it insurance or everywhere it is applicable. One thing for us as social listening is the online reputation management, because whatever goes into the social media remains in the social media forever, and it is something which will be searchable forever. So without naming the software that we use, we do have an online reputation management platform. And those one who are into the reputation management of listening to whatever is happening, and plus others at the higher level are constantly looking at that. So I do keep receiving the alerts at every moment whenever there is a negative mention, or for that matter, a positive mention, because you have to capitalize on both the negative as well as the positive. Negative by recovering that, and the positive by getting back and reiterating that experience, and if possible, maybe amplifying that experience. So that is one bit about what is happening in the passive environment, where customers are sending their feedback to you. So they are tweeting maybe about some support issue they have, or they have the complaint they have, and you have to catch it in time and to get back to the customer. The other very important aspect is, which is not only the listening, a lot of brand creation is done through the social media. So especially in insurance, and maybe life insurance does a lot of ATL. They may talk in the radio, or they may talk in the TV. Doesn't work that way for general insurance. It's more of word of mouth, and also those who are looking up to you in the brand is in the social media space. So a lot of brand creation is done over there. And what we did is looking at the times, like you shared a great example of having the test being available. We see that people are like locked at their home. They want to spend time with family. They want to do newer things. So the kind of messages that we are sending out relates to that. And specifically, we came up with a couple of campaigns like covering the distance in the times of COVID. So you can cover the distance while being with family, and then which also very nicely related with one of our products, which allows you to cover an extended family as big as 15 people. So those who are covering the distance for you, you are covering the distance for them, and having similar relevant messages going there. And what I also liked Atin was saying is that it is no longer only a tool for listening or building the brand, but it is also about selling, because the people who are interested about you would be often like dropping a one-line tweet or a one-line social message. So are you listening in time? Because that is what will remain etched in his mind forever, that whether you are responsive enough or not to create an opportunity over there to sell it or not. So I think it's going to only become more and more potent. And of course, online media is one thing, but the future would be also like, and many are already doing that, to create your own forums. I think people like the computer manufacturers and manufacturers for even automobiles do that, where support group of customers actually support their own customers, because they have become so expert at resolving the issues, and they love their product so much. So what they are doing with the product, maybe sometimes even not too well known to the original manufacturer, that these kind of capabilities exist. So that is another very important portion of making it really robust.
Brilliant. I think we have a couple of minutes in hand. I thought while we have speaking on the customer experience, the experience cannot happen without an employee experience, right? Good EX plus CX is only a happy customer. So it would be kind of quickly good to know from you all, what is that and this happens to be a customer service week internationally celebrated globally to kind of commemorate all the frontline workers or who are in services. How are you aiding them or skilling them to kind of cater to this changed environment that they are in? Mentally, people are going through so much, and we all are having our employees equally very, very important to manage employees along with your customers. It would be good quickly if you could just give us one or two tips that how you are kind of skilling your people and keeping them motivated to deliver this experience that we're all talking about.
Sure. I can get started. So, Rekha, again, it's a new norm, right? And as our panelist, other panelists also said, it's a new norm. It's a new way of paradigm that is going to stay for long. And some of the practices that are relevant now, be it social distancing or digital experiences or digital selling, I think it's there to stay for a longer period of time. So it becomes very essential that as an organization, as I said, we equip our digital touch points, or the solutions that we extend are the right solutions, are leveraging the right tech stack and technology to extend the right level of experience for our customers. At the same time, it is very essential that our employees who are frontline employees have the right data sets and tool sets so that they are able to get a good 360-degree view of our customers' pain points and problems that they want to address. So again, as a technologist, my role or my team's role is primarily, one pivotal point that I would want to do is we always come outside in. We always try to view it from a customer perspective, keep the focus on what the problem that customer is facing, and then kind of follow it up with the digital solutioning or the way we can address. And again, a slew of tech solutions that are available. But one thing that I would say, two things, as I've said earlier, two things which are very pertinent in this age is to understand your customer better. be really customer focused and have the right data set for you to kind of help the customers. So the density of the data about a customer or the situation the customer is in would help you to better the relationship or deliver a better experience for the customer at that point. Yeah.
All right. Do we have time, Anisha, or we are?
Ma'am, we have a few questions that have come up from those who have been hearing you. So I will just tell you about the questions, and then you can throw them open to the panel. So one of our participants, Mr. Vikas Katare, has been asking, what should be my goals for improving customer experience? How do I determine how much I can or should spend to improve customer experience?
All right. One wonderful question in need of the hour, the ROI of it. Anybody would like to take the question? Atin, would you like to take the question?
Sure. It depends on what metrics you're following. Okay. Let's face it. If you're talking about digital CX, we're talking about DCX, we're talking about CX. NPS, NSS still remains a frontline metrics which everybody does look at. Okay. What happens is that generally people look at NPS or NSS at a holistic level. What I urge is to try to break it down now, especially from a DCX point of view, to your digital systems. And then you start looking at NPS at a whole, but also breaking it out through your web, through your mobile app, through your CRMs, through your ERPs, through your touch screens, etc. The more you can break down this metric into your various so-called digital touch points, you will get an understanding which is working, which is not investing, and thus where you have to invest. I think that's definitely one way of looking at it. Also, more and more urge people to stop looking at vanity metrics or visits, clicks, etc., and try to start looking at things from a business point of view. Okay, are we actually helping revenue? Are we helping pipeline? Are we helping digital? Our sales guys becoming digital sellers? And the moment you start doing that, meaning forget about where you want to invest, you will first try to understand what are the issues you're already happening, so that you can do more of cost optimization rather than investment. Because I think there's a lot of money which is being spent on CX. To give you a number, it's $2 trillion globally, okay, on digital transformation. Is it being spent on the right areas? I think that's the question which we should be asking ourselves first, rather than how do we get more money invested. My 2 cents.
I hope it addressed Vikas's question.
Ma'am,
yes,
there is one more question, and this is actually a statement, and I think Mr. Ali Mahadik wants a comment from Mr. Amit Chhabra. So he's saying defining buyer persona is very critical. It helps in targeted selling. Mr. Chhabra, would you like to give a comment on this?
Of course, I said it. Your customer persona, buyer persona is extremely important. However, don't get lost in it. Okay, buyer personas and customer personas also have a way of shifting. And if we get too stringent about this, what we leave is the discovery phase of how the evolution of a customer happens. Customer personas evolve, and it has been evolving if I'm not mistaken, every month in the last 9 months. Okay, it's been changing. So keep that in mind.
Just to add to Atin,
and
I could, in an airport scenario, in a journey, the persona changes right from the curbside when he get down to his check-in, and by the time he reaches his boarding gate, he has a different persona, different mindset. Now it is intuitive enough to understand what his pulse is at that point in time. If I'm into a lounge, I have an opportunity that I do not know whether he will buy in or not, but I could prompt him in various aspects by, so the personas are, it's a moving target, if I may use it in a single, verbiage. Yeah, so it keeps changing. It is how intuitive are we enough to identify this and cater to that in terms of our experiences, and that translating into revenue.
All right. Now we have another question from K. Vitul Shetty, who's asking, while customer expectations are very high, how to meet his expectations in trying circumstances? And I would like to add my 2 bits here that, you spoke about social listening. I hope this becomes very important because, many a times as customers, especially of financial services, when we have had a problem and we've reached out to, say, insurers or even our banks and say, oh, look, I had a problem, I had a fraudulent transaction, the message I get from customer support is, it's COVID time, half our people are here, it may take longer to address your queries. It's a fraud. I can't wait. So, while the COVID time is very challenging, many of us are working from home. So what explains this delay, and how should customers react to it?
Insurance, Hari, you would like to address?
No, I would like, we do have somebody from the financial sector to address this, as well as anybody else. The expectations are high and times are tough. How do you, make them match?
Maybe I can just address from the expectation point of view. As you rightly said, today it's a confused customer. They are in dire need of, they want instantaneous response no matter what. And that is what the organizations to kind of look into. We're talking about investments on a digital transformation. That's why the key question was, what are we aiding our employees with? Are they aided with that, front-end freedom to kind of engage with the customer and be transparent? Fundamental is a transparency, and the customer on the other side will understand if you tell them that, we are checking on this and we will put it, instead of rather than giving stories of COVID. All of us know, all of us are in it together. Right? I think it's a way of bringing in, that's why I said in the initial stages, how do you bring in compassion at the entire touch point, right from your top to your front line, in every transactions that you do. And probably Hari could kind of tell from a financial sector point of view. It is frustrating, absolutely.
I think financial, non-financial, everywhere, one very important aspect of expectation and expectation management is how well do you educate. One is the education when the incident itself happens, and the second is the education when you are first of all getting your product into the customer's wallet. So at that time, did you invest enough in educating that what are the right things to expect and how you will be along with him in the journey? So of course, there would be various kinds of scenarios, some requiring instantaneous support and some, especially in insurance, where there is a legal and various other interdependencies on other bodies involved, that how do you be with the customer throughout that journey? For example, and I hope it doesn't happen with any of you, that if your car does get stolen and if you have to get the money back for it from the insurance company, then you have to also go through the legal mechanism of getting a report from the police station, from the court. Now, that is not going to go away. But what could be eased certainly is how well the claim person remains with you throughout the journey, keeps educating you, keeps reassuring you, and does he at places where required become your front-ending and liaising person with those legal bodies to ease the journey. So I think that's very important. So for example, in our very simple claims of cars also, we have the journey laid out very clearly, that at what places it will be a digital intervention and at what places a human being will actually pick up the phone and speak and explain what is happening and what to expect next. If that is happening, most of the times the customers will be quite assured and they will be quite calm. So the right education at the right time, and for that, no doubt, the employees have to be empowered and they have to be enabled that they are not applying the wrong prescription or the wrong medicine to the wrong ailment. It's about mostly that. That is where the experiences fail, and that is where experiences can succeed. And it's a constant thing. You have to constantly keep examining, re-examining, and setting it right.